Hello everybody, and today I want to talk about publishing and writing a book, about the whole process. But since I had never published something or actually writing something good, I decided to bring some professionals to help me answer some of the questions on writing and publishing. So I managed to get a hold on 3 independent authors to help me on this conversation. I'm gonna go right to the questions and write you through each of this interview because this might be a long video. Go grab some popcorns and continue watching. So now that you have popcorns with you, let me start this interview.
Hi everyone, my name is Chen and I am the author of the book Sounds of War. I am 18 years old currently and I published this last year. Currently I'm a student at Cornell University studying biometry and statistics, but writing is one of my passions. That's what I did. The book is about 2 musicians that lived through the siege of Leningrad, which took place from 1941 to 1943. And that is a period of time where German soldiers, Nazi soldiers, surrounded the city of Leningrad and basically tried to starve the city to submission. And the story is a historical fiction novel with a hint of romance about 2 musicians who lived through it all.
Hey guys, my name is James Agee, and I am from Nreluctant here on YouTube, youtube.com/Nreluctant, N-R-E-L-U-C-T-A-N-T, and I'm a self-published independent author. My book is called Bontrix. It's a really cool book that combines modern day society and elements of today with Victorian times. It's just brilliant. There's this alternate universe and some crazy stuff happens. Really cool. So the main character in the book is called Miles Ransom. He's going to college and he finds out his roommate's pretty weird. There's some crazy stuff going on within the walls of the school and the dorm room where he lives, and it's a pretty interesting adventure.
Hello everyone, my name is Mandi Lynn. I'm the author of the young adult novel Essence and soon to be published novel I Am Mercy. Essence is obviously a young adult fantasy novel and it's about a girl. She kind of gets into this situation where her parents think she's dead and she's watching over as they react to her death. And I Am Mercy is almost a companion novel where it kind of has the same concepts of Essence, but it starts off taking place during the Black Plague.
When it comes to the process of writing this book, since this is my first book, I had a little bit of problems coming up with like the process of going about doing it and what works best for me. A lot of authors suggested me that I just let the characters lead the way, but that's not really how my brain works, and I found that out after I finished the first draft and how it was incohesive. What ended up happening was I redid everything, I re-outlined and made a more detailed version of the entire plot, and the end result was a lot better than the first one. So I guess my process of writing this book would be to first come up with the initial idea, planning everything, and then finally getting to write it.
The process of writing my first novel was really, I guess, stressful. It took a while. There were days when it just seemed like the chapters flowed, and then there were days when it just seemed like, you know, I need to get something down, and on those days I just decided not to write because I don't want to read books that are forced, and I don't want other people to read books that are forced. So it was a long process because I didn't want to write if I didn't feel like writing, or if I didn't feel like I had anything important to write.
I started writing Essence when I was 13 and kept rewriting it over and over. I tried writing to agents to get it published and just kind of hopped on the train of self-publishing.
I'm what you would call an indie author, so I do not have a publishing house backing my book. I did everything by myself, including the cover art, the editing, and sending it in for submission. The entire process took me roughly 2 months, a little bit more than that, as this was for a school senior project. So I was on a deadline, so I did not seek out a publishing house to help me publish this. And just because of the deadline, since I know it can take up to years for your book to appear on the market. That is an option that I am considering for the future, but for this particular book, the publishing process took me about 2 months because I did everything pretty much by myself.
I've published quite a few books actually since my first one. My first one would have been Mask City, I think. It was a really slow process at first, just because I wanted to get everything absolutely perfect and all of the little details right. And then this last time it was a more technical process because I knew there were more things involved with it, and there was a more lengthy process for the design of the book. But it seemed like it went a lot smoother this last time. So I think the more you do it, the more smooth things go.
When it came out, I made sure to have a book launch, and at the book launch alone, we sold just about 60 books, something around there. So that was awesome for a book launch that was just word of mouth and not so much advertising. Since then, I've been kind of doing workshops and some speaking engagements, getting interviews every now and then through newspapers, online, and sometimes even television.
The inspiration for this particular book came when I was performing with my youth orchestra in New York City, and we were playing Shostakovich's 5th Symphony, and this book is based off of his 7th Symphony. I'm fascinated with history and music, and I'm fascinated with composers' lives, because when you hear their music, you don't hear the story behind them. A lot of times I do not really follow the motto, write what you know. A lot of times is what comes to me at the time, and this book, because I obviously did not live in 1941 Leningrad, I had to do a lot of research to make it as realistic and as accurate as possible, and I tried my best to do that.
Every book I've ever written has been inspired by real life, including this one. I went to college and I had some crazy stuff happen, and so it all kind of got turned into this fictional fantasy world. I definitely just pull from real life experiences.
The inspiration for my writing kind of just comes from emotions. I'm an emotional writer, and I also, for Essence, was basing my book on a location. It was a place in New Hampshire that we had gone camping all the time, and in the book it's called Phantom Lagoon. So I basically kind of made the story around that location and made all these little features and everything. But sometimes I usually look at my writing as almost a diary. It's kind of like a coded diary where if I read it, I know exactly what was going on at the time and what caused the scene in the book and the emotions in the book, but to everyone else, they have no clue what's going on. We're going to keep it that way.
As you can see, the artwork on this book is pretty simple. It's just a girl and the piano, and that I felt reflected the book very well. And I created this by myself, and it's just blending the two pictures together on Photoshop. And of course, I contacted the artist of these photos and asked them for permission to use them. And on the back of the book, I credited them, of course, and they were on DeviantArt. So that was what I did in regards to the artwork of the book.
The book's artwork was actually designed by one of my cool YouTuber, booktuber friends, Richard Denny. He did a brilliant job with this, and I wanted it to reflect the characters in the book, because so many times you get a book and it's like characters on the cover don't even resemble the characters inside the book. This character here, Bondrix, that's exactly how I imagined her looking. So it just turned out so perfect. Couldn't have asked for a better cover art.
The cover for my book was actually designed by myself, and it's actually me on the cover as well. So here we have it. That's me, and as you guys heard earlier, the place was inspired by a place I had gone on vacation. Here it is. In real life, it's called Sabaday Falls, but in the book, it's called Phantom Lagoon, so we have Phantom Lagoon in the background here.
As far as advertising goes, I've done several author interviews recently, such as this one, and I also blog pretty frequently, and I do have my own YouTube channel here on YouTube, though it's of a variety of different things that may or may not be related to my book. My book is on Kindle Unlimited, and it's exclusively on Amazon right now, actually, so people with that can find it more easily. And I definitely plan on putting more deals, like countdown deals, in the future, so that my book gets a chance to be seen by other people. But so far it's been quiet on the book marketing front, because that wasn't my main focus when I was working on this project last summer.
How did I advertise this book? Really, I just made a video on YouTube telling my viewers to go check it out. Self-publishing, it's hard to get your name out there, and it's really hard to get your work out there. If you just do some local marketing, talking to people you know locally, or just trying a few different online avenues for advertising. My biggest thing is, I don't care if I sell the book just simply because I wrote it for me. I wrote this because I felt it was a story that I needed to tell. And so I'm not upset if I don't sell a lot of copies, but I do think you definitely have to self-advocate and self-advertise if you're going to be an independent author. It's just the way it is, guys. Overall, though, I'm really content with my decision to self-publish, because my work probably never would be out there if I hadn't. And I really recommend looking into self-publishing, if you have a story that you think needs told and publishers don't want to take it, or you don't have, you know, like an agent or the means to contact a publisher, look into self-publishing. It's a really, really nice thing that we all have access to nowadays, and it's just something to take advantage of. So, I'll see you guys later.
For promoting my book, I basically don't really pay for anything. I don't do any ads or anything like that. I tried the Facebook ads every now and then, and you know, they get you your likes, but they don't get you the interaction you want. Instead, I do things like this, take advantage of every opportunity I get. I do videos on YouTube. I interact with my followers on Facebook, and I just started getting into Twitter again, and I have an Instagram, but that's more my personal one, but people follow it anyways, even though I don't really know why I'm not entertaining. But yeah, I'm cheap when it comes to advertisement. I just kind of do social media, and I do events in my local area. I do workshops, speaking engagements, interviews as much as possible. But that's about as simple as it gets. I'm too cheap to pay for advertising.
I hope this helps someone out there. I want to personally thank James, Mandy, and Cindy for this interview and for answering these questions and for being part of this video. And I'm gonna leave all their social media below so you can go check these authors and their books and follow them and all those stuff, because they have interesting books and interesting stories. And I see you in the next chapter, and for now, goodbye.